Welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, a father and son team dedicated to helping you experience a new financial future. Dr. G and Kevin believe successful people aren't people without problems. They are people who have learned to solve their problems. As you listen, you'll be entertained, educated, and encouraged to begin experiencing your new financial future now. Let's join Dr. G and Kevin.
Hey, good to be with you again this morning. It is Monday morning. How's your week starting off? Well, thanks for starting it off with us. Kevin Lawrence here, and in studio is my father, Dr. Gary Lawrence, behind the other mic and across the table from me. But around here, friends, we just call him Dr. G. So you're familiar with that phrase, all that glitters is not gold. You know, maybe you've uttered this phrase as you've attempted to warn a friend or give caution to a young teenager. Or maybe someone has said it to you for the same reasons. Well, this phrase has been around since the 12th century, and yet we have William Shakespeare to thank for causing the phrase to be so popularized. It was about 1596, as my research showed me. And yes, it means exactly what we know it to mean. So what does this phrase have to do with the Dr. G and Kevin show? Well, really simple, friends. Reaching your financial goals and seeing your dreams realized is less about the accomplishment and more about who you become during the journey. See, Dad, when we strive for our goals, it's almost surprising who we can become in the process, which is almost more important. It is more important than the shiny, glittery thing that we think we want.
I agree with you 100%, Kevin. And now, did you quote Shakespeare? Did I miss something
right here? So all that glitters is not, and all that glitters is not gold. Well, in actuality, see, it showed up.
So Shakespeare gets a little more detail. For that, right?
He gets a credit. It showed up. It showed up in about 12th century France, and the actual original phrase is "all that glisters is not gold." But the word glister over time changed to glitter. They both have the same meaning, so we can just go with it.
Okay, I want to say
you asked. There's
I want to say to our audience, you have just been given overview of Shakespeare by my son, Kevin Lawrence.
I just want our audience to know the time I spend on this program and the stuff we go into to bring them something that's valuable, educational. What do we say? It's entertaining, educational, and fun or something?
Okay, well, to help you and I, help us reach our audience and come to believe that not all that glitters is gold.
That's true.
I'm telling you, we have a gentleman. We highly respect this gentleman. We love him. He's a great man. Just had him here a couple weeks ago for a real estate intensive with our team. Gavin Mcaleb comes to us all the way from Boise, Idaho. He's a 41-year-old entrepreneur, real estate investor, trainer, and he's a licensed real estate broker in Idaho. And he has over 14 years of experience in real estate investing and has participated in literally hundreds of transactions. And when I say hundreds of transactions, that may be understating it.
I think it is.
But at the age of 41, this guy has really built a financial platform that he controls, and he's been an investment coach for over 11 years, working one-on-one with new investors to help them through their first transactions. But here's the real reason we're having him on. He is our coaching instructor for Renatus. He's our real estate investment coach, and he works one-on-one with every student in Renatus that gets enrolled in the education on the highest level. And just an awesome man. We love him, and I want to bring him out because he's got a lot of information about Renatus that he's going to share. Gavin Mcaleb, what a joy to have you on as our guest today.
Thank you, Dr. G. Glad to be here. I appreciate those kind words in the intro.
Well, they weren't just kind words; they were truthful words.
Those are the best. Those are the best. Kind and truthful ones.
Yes, kind and truthful, without a doubt. Thanks for joining us, Gavin. Now, did you know that about that phrase, "all that glitters is not gold"? I know you're very astute with history and so on, but had you known that, Gavin?
You know, I don't know if I would have pegged Shakespeare. I guess if you would have given me a moment, I might have been able to generate it. It's funny because when you first said it, and I certainly believe that that's the original quote, it doesn't meet today's grammatical standards. As I don't know if you caught the subtlety when Dr. G repeated it back. He rephrased it according to today's standards, because when you said all that glitters is not gold, when you put the not there, it actually negates the fact that gold could glitter. Whereas when you say not all that glitters is gold, that allows you to bifurcate
Oh my
the
gosh!
subcategory of all glittering objects, leaving room for gold to continue to glitter, and everything else that glitters is not necessarily gold.
I got to tell you, this whole, that's the first time we've had any guest use the word bifurcate. And now our audience has got to go. They're pulling out their thesaurus and dictionary right now. They're Googling bifurcate, man.
Okay, so much for the history lesson, guys. Okay.
Yeah, we're just having fun. That's
Gavin
all.
Mcaleb, you're 41 years old, and you and your wife, Maren, have 3 lovely children. And you literally started your career out as a comedian before you got involved in real estate. Am I right on that?
You are correct that I took a detour into the world of comedy. I hesitate to speak of that as a career.
Oh, okay.
Career is career being a little generous.
That's right. It's being a little generous. It was absolutely an endeavor and a hobby and a project for several years. It certainly never was profitable enough to refer to as a career, but it was certainly a wonderful experience.
So when did you start your journey in real estate investing? By the way, I want to tell our audience, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and our special guest with us today is Gavin Mcaleb from Boise, Idaho, 41-year-old entrepreneur, real estate investor. He's also the national coach for Renatus. He coaches every one of our students on a one-on-one basis at some time or another as they are enrolled in the education. Gavin, tell us, when did you start your journey with Renatus? I know you were involved with real estate to some degree, but let's start out with your journey with Renatus. Can we do that?
We can. So I'm going to have to get in the Wayback Machine for this. My guess is folks that are familiar with you guys and familiar with Renatus certainly understand some of the origins of that company, which there's a gentleman by the name of Bob Snyder, who is our CEO and founder, and
right.
basically the heart and soul of Renatus. He sets the tone, and his big heart and his big vision is kind of what brings us together. And so I have known Bob Snyder. I actually did the math on it the other night. It was September. Okay, so hold on now. Part of this is reconstructed from memory, but part of it I did. I checked some dates and some locations. I believe it was either September or October. I can narrow it down that far. September or October of 2004, when I first met Bob Snyder. And even back then, the seeds of what would then later become Renatus were already starting to be planted.
Right.
Bob Snyder, of course, has been involved in real estate for many years. And so I met Bob Snyder at that point in 2004, and hit it off almost immediately. And through the next few years, I was, like you mentioned, I was involved in real estate several years prior to becoming involved with Renatus. Over the next several years, I had a chance to be on several speaking platforms, several coaching platforms, many of which were affiliated with what we call the Guru system of seminars, which maybe we can cover later. But from the day that Renatus started, I was aware of it. And I was doing another project at the time.
Right.
And Bob and I sort of crossed paths, and maybe we'll think of it as orbit. We're in each other's orbit, so I'm seeing what he's doing, and we check in every now and again. And finally, about 2 years ago, the opportunity came up where Bob had an opening. Now, one thing I think people need to understand with Renatus is, in comparison with the membership and in comparison with the offerings, they run a really tight ship. There's like 3 customer service folks that are very diligent and focused. They handle all the inquiries for thousands of students within the company. They've got 3 customer service. They've got 3. At this point, they've got 3 or 4 admin or special projects folks, but for years it was just maybe a handful of people at the home office,
right,
handling things at a above average capability. Anyway, until there just simply wasn't room for a guy like me, until there was a little bit of a shift and an opening came up. That was about 2 years ago, and that's when he and Bob called me up and said, "Hey, after years of being acquainted and full respect on both sides, we happen to have a specific opening that just happens to meet your skill set."
Right.
And I said, "Tell me more." And of course, that was the coaching position here with Renatus, as well as an instructor for several of the courses. It was, like I said, that's what I've been doing these years for many different companies. And it was sort of, to be honest, it was sort of like coming home, because I met Bob early in my real estate career, and we shared a lot of successes and highs and lows together as we watched the remarkable and honestly very enjoyable climb of real estate values in the early 2000s.
Right.
And then we had to weather the I call it the quote unquote correction.
Right.
2008, 2009, and then watching people reform and come back together and put together real estate education, which by the way, real estate education is evergreen. It's the kind of information that can last for decades, right?
Right, absolutely. And Gavin, I'm going to come right back. I want to continue. We're going to keep talking about Renatus. So what is Renatus? Renatus is a Latin term for rebirth, and Renatus is the premier real estate investing education system in America. And ladies and gentlemen, my wife Sylvia and I, we went through bankruptcy and foreclosure back in 2009, just like millions of Americans did across the nation. And that's when I was introduced to Renatus. At the young, tender age of 64, I decided I'm going to re-educate myself and reinvent myself and learn how to become a successful real estate investor. And, hey, I had no money. I was flat broke. My credit was maxed out. And I was living in a position at that time where, what am I going to do when I grow up? That's when I was introduced to Renatus. Now, this week, Kevin and I are hosting another investor business forum right here in the Valley, and we would like to have the opportunity to introduce you to Renatus.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the favorite things we enjoy about our business forums is being able to meet you, the audience. You get to meet us. We get to connect. And so I'm going to give you Dr. G's phone number here in just a minute. You're going to call him directly and set your seat aside. There's no cost to attend, and you can bring a friend with you or a family member, a colleague, someone to come along so you can see what's going on. Now, the number you're going to call is 602-315-0844. That number again is 602-315-0844. That's Dr. G's direct phone number. You're going to leave a voicemail, name and a number, so he can call you back, get your seat set aside, and find out what we're talking about by coming to our business forum.
Or, hey, just Google me, Dr. Gary Lawrence, and visit my website and get all that information that you want. Let's get back to our guest, Gavin Mcaleb. And, Gavin, so you became part of Bob Snyder's team. You became the coach on a nationwide level. Are you enjoying meeting the various teams throughout the nation, my friend?
Boy, that's a loaded question. Let's put it this way. Now, a couple things. First of all, absolutely yes. Second thing, and there's probably 90% facetiousness in this. I was telling Kevin, like you mentioned, I was down in Phoenix a couple weeks ago. Right. I was telling him I was keeping score between the different markets to see who would be the best market to host, a speaker and a trainer to come in from out of state. Now, the reality of it is I'm not actually writing down scores or anything. Right. But I can report that at this moment, I have not had a negative experience. and so that's I learned very early in my career that success is largely a measure of expectations versus reality. So if you can lower your expectations, then literally anything that happens exceeds your expectations, and therefore it's a wonderful time. Now listen, admittedly, I've been treated very well. When I go to a market, the folks, the students, the new, people that are just starting to learn about Renatus, everybody's very open and welcoming. The groups are great. The leadership is wonderful to, have a little bit of FaceTime and meet the folks that I see their names each week in the founders webinar that Bob Snyder hosts.
Right.
And so it's great for me to see who's out there and what they're doing. And again, like I said, I've not had a negative experience yet, and it seems to be only getting better and better.
So now,
the groups are just real good.
So I hope you're not telling me that before you flew into Phoenix, you had lowered your expectations.
Well, actually, listen. Full disclosure, I love Phoenix. I think I mentioned my extended family was from Phoenix. Both my parents grew up in Phoenix before relocating to Idaho, and so over the years, I ended up coming to visit Phoenix many times, and I love it down there. And so going to visit Phoenix, just to be there, there's a certain feel and a certain ambience, and I'm not necessarily only referring to the temperature, but there's it's just a beautiful wide open valley,
right? And
I love it there. So there's really, to me, I was thinking there's no way this can be bad because I just like being there.
And we have an awesome Renatus team here that meets up in Scottsdale every Thursday night, don't we, Gavin?
Absolutely, this group is fantastic. I mean, these guys were. Now let me set the stage a little. So what I do, I come into these different cities, and I speak on a Saturday morning about some topic, whether it's foreclosures or short sales or lease options or real estate topics, but it's like 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and so that already is a peculiar group of people, and these guys these guys are. As a captive audience, meaning that these folks have come with a purpose. They want to get something out of the information. They want to improve themselves. They want to learn. Whenever you're in a situation where there's synergy, where the person who's presenting and the person who's receiving are both really want that exchange to happen, it always is a good experience.
Okay, now Gavin,
so, that was great.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Gavin, let's get to why we're on the radio. There are men and women listening to us. Maybe they're driving on their way to work. Maybe they're listening to us in their office or on the internet. And they're listening to this program today. I just introduced a 41-year-old fellow that has already done hundreds of real estate transactions. So let's take this direction with our conversation. How does this relate to the average person out there? Can they actually learn how to become a successful real estate investor? What would you say to the person listening to us? Say, well, that's okay for Dr. G and Kevin. That's okay for Gavin Mcaleb. But, I don't have any money or, I've not had any experience. What would you say to our audience to get them off a dead center and come to the point where they believe enough in themselves that they could actually become a successful real estate investor?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it goes back to sort of what I was saying earlier about this relation between expectations and reality. If somebody expects that being a real estate investor is difficult or challenging, or there is a barrier of entry, if they expect that, then that's their reality.
Right.
But I think when people actually approach it and try to learn the mechanics of a deal, they will see a couple of things. One, yes, there are strategies that if you know and you learn, then you can do real estate.
Right.
But also that's the biggest goal the thing that we need to overcome is information. It's not resources. It's not being born into a rich family. It's not being born into royalty or anything. It's nothing about where you came from. The bridging the gap is information. Once you have the new information, now you're a new person, and you can do the new activity.
Right.
So, Gavin, you're talking about being born into royalty. So, there's no royalty in Boise, Idaho?
Well, I don't. I haven't seen any. I've done some research, and there seems to be. I can't trace it straight to the throne, but at some point when my original ancestors were in the UK, I don't know how good these ancestry sites are, but there seems to be some loose ties to the
very loose
throne of
very loose. Well, the reason I bring
any royalties from that, exactly.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because. Yeah, I like the way you said that. You don't have to be born into wealth or royalty. It doesn't matter where do you come from, what part of the country you're in. It's about getting yourself educated and getting the right information And you could be successful even in Boise, Idaho, to build a real estate investment portfolio.
And you could be successful in Phoenix, Arizona.
Or Scottsdale.
And what Gavin is saying, pure and simple, is you don't have to be a member of the Donald Trump family to become a successful real estate investor.
Well, I'm grateful that I'm not a member of that family, and I can still be successful.
Well, that's well said. Gavin, we're going to come right back, my friend. We enjoy having you on the air today. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And, hey, folks, Kevin and I are hosting another exciting investor business forum this week. And why do I say it's exciting? Because it is. I'll tell you, Kevin, I think we have the most wonderful, fabulous team of real estate investors in all the United States of America. Now, am I overspeaking there?
Well, you're a little biased. I mean, it is our team,
yeah.
admittedly, and we've been diligent and worked with these wonderful people. Look, there's great communities around the country. However, we're here right here in Scottsdale. People listening to us in the Valley, come meet us and come see what we're about.
Right. Now, explore the possibilities and the probabilities of you being able to change your financial future now. Not wait for the next 5 years or 10 years, but literally with our system in real estate investing and marketing the education, you can literally change your financial future now. I mean, it's in the present tense, not way somewhere off in the misty, hazy future of what's going to come my way.
Right, yeah.
And you're going to learn about real estate investing as it is today in Arizona. You're going to meet other team members who are real estate investors. You're going to learn about the Renatus education system. And, hey, most importantly, Kevin and I are going to have the privilege and honor of meeting you. I'd love for you to be my guest. Now, I'm going to give you my phone number. Please write it down. Get a piece of paper and a pencil and write it down. I love it, Kevin, when people call me and say, I wrote your number and name down about 3 weeks ago. I had one guy that listened to me 7 years ago and called me just last week. Isn't that something?
Don't wait that long.
So anyway, here's my number. It's 602-315-0844. That's 602-315-0844. Or, hey, just Google Dr. Gary Lawrence. Gavin Mcaleb from Boise, Idaho. We have about 2.5 minutes left. What would you say to our audience's heart from your heart about actually making a decision they're going to at least come and visit us and check out the possibilities? What would you say to them, Gavin?
I would say that most people are experiencing something in their life where, whether it's driving home from work, whether it's waking up on a Monday morning, a lot of people are experiencing some dissatisfaction. It may be a vague sense of, is this really what I'm doing? It may be a very sharp sense of, I sure hate what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The reality of it is very few people are living their ideal lifestyle.
Right.
And so if you're already living your dreams, then you may not need Renatus.
Right.
But if you're like the average person who has to work for living sustenance, and you're not fully satisfied with your condition, your lifestyle, or your future retirement prospects, it really, you owe it to yourself to learn what's available. And I can't think of a better way to do that than to come to a free workshop and just open your mind and learn about what's possible. And if it's not for you, we certainly understand. But for a lot of people, it ends up being the exact thing that they need to make a shift.
Right.
From where their previous trajectory, which was unknown,
right.
Now they can take control and guide their trajectory to wherever they would like to go.
And you know, Gavin, there's an old saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And, just last week, Kevin, I was reading an article in a medical journal, and they say if you take the suicide rate in America 1 week at a time, that there's a high spike in suicides on late Sunday evenings. Now, why is that? Because people have to get up and go to work the next day.
Well, I'm so glad we're ending the show on such a positive note. Oh, my gosh. Let's talk about suicide, friends, before we leave the air.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd share that with our audience. Okay. Hey, we have fun.
Please
on
come
this
back
program.
tomorrow and listen again. It does get better from here. Trust me.
Hey, listen. Gavin, we'll come back tomorrow, man. We sure enjoyed interviewing you today, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, change when left to chance gives birth to more conflict. And the bottom line is, if you don't change, things won't change. And I say it like this, either you make the change or the change going to make you. And there's one guarantee I'll make you right now. The only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. Okay, so if you are of the frame of mind that you would like to make the change for your future, you can do it. Success is not a destination, it's a journey. Success is not final, but failure is never fatal. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this? It's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G. I want you to create success. Why not start today? We have a special guest, Gavin Mcaleb, from Boise, Idaho, 41-year-old entrepreneur, married to a wonderful lady by the name of Marin, and they have 3 children. And he is a real estate investor, a trainer, and he has over 14 years of experience. He has literally participated in hundreds of transactions with single-family dwellings, multi-family dwellings, and commercial investments. He's also been an investment coach for over 11 years, and in the last 2 years, he's had the privilege of becoming the national real estate investing coach for Renatus. And he's just an amazing guy. We just had him here 2 weeks ago for a special day of training. I want to bring him on. Gavin Mcaleb, good to have you from Boise, Idaho, my friend.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
You know, Gavin, it's been such a fun time having you on the show, and we're just excited to have you for this entire week. So up in Boise, Idaho, you're able to kind of take on the coaching privilege of Renatus and helping our students walk through their plan and walk through their focus and their purpose. In every area of life, Gavin, you have to have some coaching. You've got to have somebody outside of your situation that can help you get through this, through what you're dealing with. What is it that you enjoy most about working with the Renatus students nationwide?
I think one of the things that I personally enjoy the most is the fact that, number one, I'm still young enough that I remember when I started when I was 27 years old, 41 now. I'm still, whatever your experience is, I can still remember those first days of uncertainty, of not knowing what to do, of feeling like I was a fraud because here I was, this young guy trying to do real estate with no experience. I remember all those emotions and feelings, and I could see those reflected in the eyes of our students. And I know that if they do a certain sequence of steps of action, that they can do exactly what I did. And so that's what I like most of being a coach, knowing that these folks are just a few steps away. Now each person's mileage may vary. Some folks are ready to roll within a few weeks and a month or so. Other folks take a few months to get themselves, get their head right, to get new information, to replace the old information. But the fact that I could see people doing deals like almost every day, I certainly understand that Facebook has multiple reputations between networking / time wasting. But honestly, as a business tool, I go on there and I think almost every day I see a Renatus student or multiple Renatus students who are doing their first deal, their second deal, their third deal. And so if you were a coach and your team always lost, I don't know how much joy you would have. But if you're a coach and your team is always competing for the championship, and whether I win every single game or not is really irrelevant. The fact that I'm in a winning position and the fact that we do win on a regular basis, that's what I like most about being a coach.
So you've had people come to you, maybe been exposed to the Renatus education system, into the business system, and they come to you and say, you know what, I don't want to do all that. Why don't you just coach me directly so I don't have to get connected to Renatus? How do you respond to that?
Well, it's like if you showed up at UCLA, or maybe I'll do ASU. I know you guys are in ASU territory.
Yes, absolutely. There. Not U of A, ASU. Yeah, go ahead.
If you showed up at ASU and you walked onto the basketball team and say, I want to be on the squad, and you know what? Just tell me what to do. And it turns out that you've never picked up a basketball, you've never been on a court, you've never thrown a basketball, you don't know how much it weighs, you don't understand the parabolic arc of a basketball throw. The coach is going to say, listen, I could tell a person with the raw skills and the raw information, I can help them coalesce into a team that can work together and that can achieve a goal. But I can't give you years of practice, years of effort to learn the skills on your own. So the Renatus education is essentially practicing your dribbling. You get into the information, you learn the new concepts, you learn the new strategies, you learn what's available to you. See, the thing about the Renatus education is there's more there than the average person can really even consume. So you'll have to choose a strategy that responds to your personality. And then once you have that information, or in this example, you've practiced your dribbling, your ball handling, and your shooting, then you go to the coach and say, okay, I'm ready to go in the game. I'm ready to compete, and I'm ready to win. And that's what I do as a coach. So I can't give people the nuts and bolts information. It's not scalable. It just wouldn't make sense for me to do that one-on-one when all the information and education is available for folks to access. But once they've got the education, then I say, okay, as your coach, it's now time for me to put you in the game and you can win. And in this case, in the analogy, a win equals getting your first few real estate transactions completed.
Right. You know, Gavin, I look back at my entry into the journey with Renatus. I went to live classes. And, of course, I was 64 years old. And I'll tell you, taking live classes was like drinking from a fire hose, right? Yeah. But with a fond memory, I recall my very first class with Chris Albin, Creative Acquisitions. And I got to tell you, Gavin, it was that class that sealed my conviction that I could learn how to become a successful real estate investor, because I went away from that class with techniques. I learned how to take ownership and control of real estate without any of my own money and none of my own credit, and the Lord knows I had neither one of those two. And so when I did my first fix and flip over here in Mesa, it was about a 3-month journey. I was able to generate $37,000 in profit. The system works. And do you know how that felt? Because I had gone through bankruptcy and I was flat broke. To make $37,000 on my first deal, that was a pretty good experience for a first deal. Would you say?
I think it's awesome. I think it's one of those things where it's interesting. And I know that at the time you probably really appreciated the money, but it's much bigger than the money.
Oh yeah,
it's the acknowledgement that now you can do it.
You're right, exactly. Let's come back and talk about that. It's much bigger than money because it's all about helping people solve problems. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and our guest is Gavin Mcaleb, coming to us all the way from Boise, Idaho. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm hosting another investor business forum this week right here in the Valley, Thursday night, as a matter of fact, hour-and-a-half event. And we call it an event because it's not a boring business meeting. It really is an exciting, exhilarating event. You're going to get to meet other men and women just like yourself that have heard Kevin and I on the radio, and they have since become part of our team. They're now real estate investors. You're going to learn about real estate investing in Arizona as it is today, not as it was 5 years ago. You're going to learn about the Renatus education system, and you're going to see what it actually could mean for you to become part of a profit-minded, positive, proactive team of real estate investors. I'd love for you to be my guest. I'm going to give you my phone number in a minute, and I'd like for you to write it down. And by the way, when you call, you will get my voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message with your name and phone number, and I promise you I will get back to you personally. Are you ready to write it down? Here it is. It's 602-315-0844. That's 602-315-0844. Gavin Mcaleb is our special guest. So, Gavin, let's go back to the conversation you were sharing with our audience.
So you're talking about how the confirmation of what you're able to do,
right,
Dad, first for you, that, hey, I got the real estate deal done. You know, and my little analogy is it's like trying to get the first pickle out of the jar. You know, once you get that first pickle out, you can get to the rest of them, and you go, hey, I got something here, you know. What? It works, people. Everyone knows what I'm saying, right, Gavin? Gavin, you know what it's like when you open up that pickle jar and that first one's kind of stuck, and then you get it out and you're like, all right, good. That's kind of like getting your first deal done, right?
You know what, Kevin? I'm going to go ahead and defer to you on the pickle problem. I don't remember. I don't remember ever struggling with a jar of pickles, but of course,
Gavin, I got to tell you, my son has struggled with pickle jars his whole life.
Well,
but I certainly understand the point of when it's the first one that suddenly
right.
it's an aha moment.
Right, yeah.
Like, this is how it's done, right?
Yeah, and you know what? After I did that first one out in Mesa, I found a house out in Levine. The bank was asking $147,000 for it. It was an REO, and over about a 10-day period, I negotiated them down to $90,000. The people who lost the house were angry at the bank, so they literally stripped the insides of the house. I mean, cupboards, everything, toilets. And but anyway, in about a 6-week period of time, I had my project manager go in there and we rehabbed that and turn it around. And I paid $90,000 for it. I think I sold it for $138,000. And I got excited, Gavin, because I thought, wow, this Renata system really works. With all that being said, with your experience and your background, would you tell our audience what is the difference between the Renata's education system and the real estate gurus that fly in from out of town for 3 days, Friday through Sunday, then leave on Monday with your money?
Yeah, great question. So full disclosure, I've been part of that world. I've been invited as a speaker and a trainer and a coach for lots of different programs. And I'll say this: the very kernel, the core of what they're teaching is probably correct, right? So when you think of these gurus and you're like, oh, they're tricksters or they're scammers, well, not necessarily in the way that you're thinking. It's not that they're going to not give you information, but I will tell you that their business model is about bringing you in as a perpetual source of income. And so the way that they do that is they give you some information, absolutely. They may give you one strategy, or they may give you 90% or even, 80, maybe 80% of an idea, and then say, well, sorry, folks, we don't have enough time. And so if you want to come to the next event, it's another $1,000,
right.
$4,000.
Right.
And so they want to string you along and bring you through their sales system. So it's more in terms of what can they get out of you versus what can you get out of them. Whereas Renatus is very transparent. You have all the information. There's more information in Renatus than I've ever seen through guru seminars. And to be honest, like I said, I think the kernel of what the gurus are teaching is technically correct. But honestly, some of the formatting is maybe a little hard to digest. Whereas Renatus is actually contracted with, I don't know how technical you want to get on a conversation like this, but there's a thing called institutional systems design. It's a scientific inquiry into how humans learn, and it's used on the college level. It's used in different types of vocational training, and it's something that Renatus has actually implemented into their system. So the idea is that when you learn the information, if I were to ask you a question about it and you could answer, that's only one level of knowledge. The real question is, if you learn the information, can you do it? And that's what Renatus education is specifically calibrated for. Once you come in, you're in. There's no additional bonuses or upsells. You see what's available. Now, you could choose to purchase just a portion of it, but once you're in, you're in. You've got the information. And once you get the information, the commitment is that you can actually take action on it.
Yeah, and Gavin, that's a key thing right there. It's geared towards student outcome. It's so different, and like you said, the core of real estate strategies. I mean, look, if you're going to buy a house and you're going to rehab it or fix it up, put it back on the market, there's only so many ways to do that. It's not going to be different, from a strategy standpoint. But you talked about the depth and the breadth of the content that Renatus provides, and what I say is, look, there's a lot of gurus that may teach you one strategy or maybe even two strategies. But once you earn your money from your first real estate transaction, what do you do with it? Do you spend it? Do you have a business model set up? How do you take advantage of not take advantage, but how do you maximize your tax position as a small business owner? That delves into the real estate, or to the business aspect that the real estate strategies don't discuss. And Renatus has brought both of those together to say, now here's how you build a business platform, so that way you have something that's going to hold your real estate portfolio that you're building. Can you talk to that, Gavin?
Well, so you've got some great information. I'm trying to think which corner of it can I comment on. So here's the piece that I thought that popped into my mind as you were speaking, and that is, it's an interesting conundrum that people don't anticipate. If they're in a situation where they're living paycheck to paycheck, and the reality of the situation is, I've got debt, I've got financial obligations, I'm stuck in this job. Usually, when they think of real estate, they think, oh, this is an escape. And so but honestly, it's your first one or two deals. Your first one or two deals can come in and pay off your debt. They can put a little nest egg in the bank.
Absolutely.
And then you're exactly right, Kevin. The question is, what's next? Nobody ever thinks about what's next because they're focused on what's now. And I get it. That's perfect. You got to focus on the now. But 2 steps away, now you don't have the debt. You have a little nest egg in the bank. And now you have to start constructing a lifestyle that maximizes your financial responsibility in terms of minimizing taxes and maximizing revenue that you can use for your family. If you're a charitable person, if you're somebody who thinks that I'd like to donate to the community or I'd like to volunteer, then that goes on your lifestyle board. For now that I'm in control of my finances, I can volunteer or I can donate to the causes that I want because I've got this quote-unquote extra money. Now, of course, it's not extra. It's part of the plan.
Right.
But the idea is people don't think about that. But Renatus has information to help people get started, and it has information for after you're already pushing through in real estate successfully. Now you've got a new set of questions that you have to answer, and we've got the answers for those as well.
You know, Gavin, one of the things that my wife Sylvia and I do the first of every month, literally, we sit down and we project what's happening this month financially, and it's at the first of each month. We plan on what we're going to be giving away before we focus on what we're creating that's going to come in. And we like that kind of focus. We're having fun helping other people change their lives financially. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and I'm the Dr. G part, and he's the Kevin part.
Yes, I am the Kevin part. So he just pointed to me. That means I get the privilege of inviting all of you listening today to our business forum this week. I'm going to give you Dr. G's phone number here in just a minute. And you're going to call and leave a voicemail, your name and number, and Dr. G is going to get back to you personally. I can promise you that. It may take a day, but he'll get back to you. And what are you calling for? Well, you're going to come visit myself, meet me, meet Dr. G. We get to meet you and find out about you and your life and see how we can help you and how we can bring value to your life and situation. Join us for our business forum this week. There's no cost. Bring a friend, bring a family member, a colleague, and the number you're going to call is 602-315-0844. That's 602-315-0844. Come find out what this is all about. As I open up the show today, you can sit back behind the dial, behind your computer listening to this show or on your phone, but you can't figure it all out and see what this is all about by sitting and listening. There comes a point where you've got to take action and step forward and make yourself a priority and find out what we're about. That's what this business forum is about, and we're just urging you, come find out, get informed on what Dr. G and Kevin and Renatus is all about.
Gavin, before we leave, we got about 2.5 minutes left. There are men and women listening to us who own a small business. They're mom-and-pop business owners, but the truth is they found out the business owns them. Can you make a brief comparison between having a Renatus a real estate investing business as opposed to the business that keeps them in bondage financially?
And remember, Gavin, you only got 2 minutes.
Well, then I'll just key in on the one that I'm familiar with, because I've been an entrepreneur of many different varieties. I've owned restaurants in the past, and I was absolutely in bondage to that.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about the Renatus business, the number one thing for me is overhead. I don't have fixed costs necessarily. I mean, I certainly do have certain minimal office expenses.
Sure.
Maybe I've got an office lease and certain technology things, but I don't have overhead like a traditional business. I don't have employees. I don't have payroll. Everything I do, I pay people on contract. I don't have a storefront. I don't have the inventory that I have to pay up front and store until it either sells or spoils. And so certainly depending on the nature of the business that they're in, to me, the Renatus business is streamlined. The overhead is very low.
Oh, yeah.
But the upside is incredible. The ratio between the upside versus overhead is I can't think of another business that could rival it. And so it's something where if I want to work, I work. And if I want to take a few days off, I don't have to worry about who's minding the store.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing is I have control. Now, of course, it is work. Right. If you want a result, you've got to put in the effort. You can't take every week off. But you can take some time off, and you don't lose any steam. So that's one of the best things I like as well.
Well, you know what? Back in 2015, Gavin, I had both of my hips replaced surgically, and I was down for about 6 to 7 months. And, in spite of that, Renata still paid me a total of $197,000 in income. That's a pretty good sick pay, wouldn't you say?
I would, absolutely.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, no matter where you are financially, you can create a financial future now. There's an old saying, when you're down to nothing, God's up to something. And I want you to know, if you're waiting for all your circumstances to get better, that's not going to work that way. You've got to change yourself first, because if you're not willing to change your attitude, nothing else is going to change. And I'll guarantee you this, either you're going to make the change or the change is going to make you. Success is not a destination. It's a journey. You can succeed. All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now listen very carefully. Success is never final, but failure is never fatal. And investment in knowledge will pay you the best results. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this with such deep conviction? Well, it's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? Hey, right now would be a good time. Gavin Mcaleb, who is a 41-year-old entrepreneur, he's a real estate investor, and he's a trainer of others, and he's got over 14 years of experience and has literally participated in hundreds of transactions. I think he started his journey when he was about 27 years of age. And now he is our coach on a national level for the Renatus community of real estate investors. He travels from the east to the west coast, from the south to the north border of our country, and trains other people. We just had him here a couple weeks ago, and our people just they loved this guy, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that we bribed him well enough that he loves us.
Yeah, right. Let's bring him on. Gavin, would you agree with that, my friend?
I would agree with all of the above.
See, I paid you well, Gavin. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
So where did you want to go with our conversation today,
I think that it's important. We've talked about just kind of real estate investing, the importance of it, how it changes people's lives. We talked about your experience as the national coach for Renatus. Gavin, today I want to just share with our listeners kind of your personal story. What was your journey into real estate investing? In other words, why this course? Why did you make it your focus financially? What caught your attention? Just kind of unpack that for our guests and explain the impact on your family, your marriage. You have 3 kids and their experience with it.
Kevin, that's a great question. In fact, before I dive into that, I want to comment, and I hate to pick on you, but I also kind of enjoy it. The tortoise and the hare story that you mentioned at the top,
yes,
is one that it's easily one of my least favorite when it's misunderstood. But I'm going to point out some things that we can truly learn from it. So the incorrect moral of the story is slow and steady wins the race. That's incorrect if you've ever seen a race. It's not true. What happened? So
I'm glad, Gavin. I got in. I'm so glad.
I can't wait to hear this.
I'm so glad somebody is finally straightening my son out.
But let me tell you what you can learn from the tortoise and the hare. Number one, ego is your downfall. The hare was so full of himself that he took a nap, and he decided, well, am I in the race or not? Because if he thought he was bigger than the race itself, and he didn't get the reward. The other thing is, we're all running our own race.
Right.
Some of us in the race are tortoises. some of us are hares. It's not a zero-sum game with one winner. If you're going slow but you're still heading in the right direction, if you're going fast in the right direction, as long as you're moving, as long as you have a goal, you'll achieve something. So that's my lesson to the tortoise and the hare. And again, not to pick on you necessarily, but there's certain stories out there that are meant to be educational, and this one just really falls flat because slow and steady might finish the race, but it certainly doesn't win, if you know what I mean.
Okay, there you go.
I'll tell you what.
I love it. I will always remember that. Thank you,
Gavin.
Gavin.
You just apologized to Kevin for picking on him. You said, "I'm sorry, I'm picking on you." I'm glad to hear this. Okay, I'm having a good time.
So,
Well,
Gavin,
good.
continue. Share your story with our audience.
Why real estate?
Yeah, great. So back to the beginning. So I started real estate when I was 27 years old. That was 2013. In fact, it was exactly 14 years ago. It was the end of April. So today's May something. So it was the end of April 2013. I had just no 2003. Sorry, the math is fuzzy. 2003, April 2003. I just finished a graduate program. I came out. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in public administration, and my game plan was to find some kind of a government job. Like a city level, city manager, city planning, zoning, any of those kind of administration jobs down at City Hall. And to me, that was that was my plan because I liked that. I liked the vibe, right? I liked the idea of contributing to public service, all that kind of stuff. So what happened was, within a few weeks of graduating, a friend of mine said, "Hey, there's a seminar coming to town. Let's check it out." I had never given any thought to real estate. I had my career planned out. I was applying for jobs, and we went to this seminar, and it was just kind of one of these preview seminars, and it suddenly my mind opened to a new possibility that didn't necessarily include a job. And so honestly, I was skeptical. I thought, oh yeah, that's great for somebody. I don't know if it's going to work here in Boise, Idaho. I don't know if it's going to work for me personally. And so I just kind of shelved it. But then, at the end of the free preview, of course, they sell you the whole seminar. And so we ended up going to the whole boot camp. It was a 5-day event. And over the course of 5 days, I literally was transformed in terms of my mind was blown. Now, I hope this doesn't reflect negatively on me, although if it reflects truthfully and it's negative, then I guess that's okay. I looked around me in the room, and I forgive me, but I judged people based on their appearances, and there was all shapes and sizes, old, young, fat, skinny, women, men, all ethnicities. I looked around and I said, "This is surely a motley crew of people. If they could succeed, if they could do it, I'm a college graduate. I could do this." And so, like I said, I didn't condemn anyone. I say I judged them, but of course I was only judging them based on if they have the ability to do this, I can. I'm sure that they're good, valuable people. Of course they are.
Gavin, let me tell you something.
Yes.
You all you're doing is being as honest as no one else will be. Because all of our listeners, including myself and Dr. G, definitely Dr. G, has judged people just based on appearance and had the thought, well, if that person can do it, I know I can do it.
Gavin, I want to come back to this fantastic story that you're sharing, and I want our audience to know that the voice they just heard is that of Gavin Mcaleb, and he's a college graduate, and he decided he's going to become a real estate investor. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Gavin can do it at the age of 27, anybody can do it, because I've met him. Okay.
Now, Gavin, you said you had a BS in what? A bachelor's?
Yeah, exactly. Psychology, but it's general use as well.
Well, let me tell you about the value of my degrees, okay? I've got a graduate in theology. I've got a BA degree. I've got an MA in pastoral counseling, and I have a doctorate in ministry. And when I was 64 years old and retired, I was flat broke. Now, here I am, a white-haired retired professional with no money. What's that all about? And that's when I was introduced to Renatus, and I decided I'm going to learn how to become a successful real estate investor. I was 64. Gavin Mcaleb was 27 when he started his journey. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about where do you want to go in life? Are you really happy in the rut that you're in, hoping that someone doesn't drive your wagon down the rut that you are in? You can change your financial future now. Hey, I want to invite you to be my personal guest at our upcoming Investor Business Forum held right here in the Valley. And you're going to get to meet other team members. You're going to meet other men and women just like you who have learned how to turn their corner financially through the wonderful world of real estate investing. You're going to learn about Renatus. What is Renatus? Well, it's the premier real estate investing education system in America. And by the way, we're the only educational system that I'm aware of that literally pays its students to earn while they learn. You can start creating cash flow while you're learning the education in becoming a real estate investor. So if you'd like to be my guest, you're going to have to call me. And I'm going to give you my phone number in a minute, but I want you to know when you call, you will get my voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message with your name and phone number, and I will get back to you. Are you ready to write down my number? Here it is. It's 602-315-0844. That's 602-315-0844. So, Kevin, let's go back to Gavin.
Yeah,
Mcaleb.
so, Gavin, you're sharing about how you got involved with the real estate investing and went, hey, my mind is blown. You're sitting in a room over several days with other people, and you're going, hey, if they can do it, so can I. You know, I had the same thought about my dad when he started this. I looked at him and I go, man, the guy's 65 years old, and he still has a little gas left in the tank. And I thought, well, if that old guy can do it, you know, definitely I can do it because I'm younger than he is, and I'm definitely better looking. And what I love about real estate investing as a whole is, you know, you hit the nail on the head, Gavin. It doesn't matter if you're short, if you're tall, if you're fat, you're skinny, you're male, you're female. Doesn't matter what your color your skin is. Doesn't matter what culture you come from or where you were born. If you will learn the strategies and you will learn the principles, you can create success. So you leave and you go home and you tell your wife, hey, honey, Marin, have I got a great idea. I spent all that time and money in university in order to become a real estate investor. So how did she respond to that?
Well, I'm sure you can imagine that the original conversation took some negotiating on my part. And so,
just a little.
Yeah. So listen, I think the beauty of it is, I think my situation is the common situation. So the agreement that we had was, okay, I'm going to try to put this real estate together while I'm still looking for work. So that was my agreement. My commitment was one way or another, in the next couple months, we'll have income for the family. So whether that means I get a job or whether that means I do real estate, that was the agreement. And so I kept true to that. I kept putting out applications. I kept going on job interviews. At that moment in history, you know, whether it was cosmic or just happenstance, it was kind of a tight time in the local government market. Departments were shrinking, they were shutting down, they were laying people off, they were not hiring, and so that obviously proves to be my benefit long term. But in the short term, it was just more pressure to perform in real estate. And
right.
So here's how the timeline looks. So I graduated in April of 2003. By mid-May of 2003, I was up and running. You know, I had the experience at the event. I had a binder full of PowerPoint slides, and I had this kind of burning. I don't know, a good burning, right? I don't know if you've ever been in an event where you're like, oh, holy cow, I think I can do this. And
right.
There's like a swelling within you, like, I'm this close. I'm 3 feet from gold.
Right.
Or 3 feet from diamonds, whatever the story is. So I had that going. Every day I was like, okay, I'm just right on the edge. So I did everything that I was told to do, up to and including, you know, sending out certain marketing pieces, approaching people who were likely to be in foreclosure, those types of things. It took it took almost all summer of nearly full-time effort. So I want to make sure, if nothing else, people understand that I will never minimize and gloss over the fact that it is absolutely work. It's efficient. It's much faster. So real estate is not get rich overnight. But if I can get rich in 10 or 15 years instead of 30 or 40 years, so that's the difference. So it is absolutely work. It took from May, June, July, almost to the middle of August. So that's almost 4 months of almost getting the deal. So this is talking to people and maybe putting their property under contract and then not being able to figure out how to do an exit strategy. Or it was, at the time we were doing short sales. Now, short sales, even if the homeowner is cooperative, the lender has to sign off on the deal.
Right.
So we had, many times I had a short sale offer that would have been a slam dunk, but the bank just didn't cooperate. And so it was by the middle of August, I had one deal that crossed all the requirements. I negotiated the right price. It was a short sale. I got the short sale approval from the lender, and was able to purchase the property. And in hindsight, I now know. So I was just learning the market, even though I'm from Boise. That's not the same as knowing the real estate market. It turns out that I had a property that was just in a real hot part of town, and it was sold almost instantly. So by the time I purchased it, to the time that I sold it, without doing anything, I didn't do a rehab on my first project. I merely negotiated the short sale, and I made $31,000. And so if you can imagine going through all summer of not getting a job and not getting to do, we're talking 3 months of living every day at the house where our groceries were purchased on credit cards.
Right.
Our rent was paid with a credit card. And now suddenly $31,000 flows in, and it was enough to pay off all the credit cards. And so that suddenly became not only the relief that was much needed, but it became the certainty that if I can do it once, I did it almost enough times, and
right.
When I did it once correctly, now I see the whole picture.
Yeah.
Now I repeat the process over again.
Now, how did that help Marin? I mean, when she saw that, your wife sees, oh, you're flush with cash here. Did that give her confidence as well? What was her response?
You know what? I think her response was perfect, because it was grateful and appreciative and optimistic, but also cautious. I mean, one $31,000 check doesn't make your life.
Right.
It creates a signal that maybe you're on the beginning of a path. So I will give a pro tip that, especially at the beginning, when you get an influx of cash, yes, be responsible, and yes, pay down your debt, and also yes, buy something nice for your wife. And whether that's a nice trip to San Francisco like we took, whether that's a gift that she would like, or meals, whatever it is that would make her happy and comfortable, 100% that is a priority. So make sure that happens as well.
And not just make her happy and comfortable, but also give some kind of a sort of reason why she should even stay with you.
That's true. Business is one facet of life, and you've got to be the kind of person that people want to be around. If you're going to have good family relationships.
Boy, that's true.
I know it.
Oh, it's funny. But I like the way you said that pro tip. You know, you make some money. Hey, go out and celebrate, enjoy it, and definitely, because it just seems, now this is not all the time, but I will say it's the high majority of time. It's usually the man that goes, honey, I found it. I'm going to go out and kill it, drag it back to the cave, and it's called real estate. And she goes, hold on. We have birds in the nest. We need to keep a roof over our head and everyone fed, because, you know, our wives and our moms, they want to make sure, and rightly so, want to make sure the home fires stay burning and that we don't burn the house down. So men need to be sensitive to that for their wives. And when they do get that first check, you're right on, Gavin. Hey, it doesn't make the entire career, but we do need to recognize our wives, be sensitive, and say, thank you for standing beside me and supporting me. We can do it again.
And you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and we're having so much fun in interviewing our special guest, Gavin Mcaleb from Boise, Idaho. He is the coach for Renatus on a nationwide basis. And ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about, the bottom line is just changing your financial future now. And the thing I love about Renatus that stood out when I was first introduced to it was not the education, not the instructors, not the personal coaching, but what stood out and really caught my attention is the fact that we have a community, that we have people who stand beside you, who walk the journey with you, and who join hands with you and literally help you become a successful real estate investor. And I'll tell you right now, Kevin, if it wasn't for the community aspect of Renatus, I don't think I would have been half as successful as I have been.
Absolutely.
I know I wouldn't have. Say, if you'd like to meet our community of real estate investors, I'd love for you to be my personal guest at the upcoming Investor Business Forum that Kevin and I are hosting this week right here in the Valley. There's no cost to you. And by the way, if you do come as my guest, leave your checkbook and your credit cards at home. We're not going to sell you anything. You're not going to be able to buy something. We don't even know each other. We need to get acquainted. We need to find out this is a possible match for you. And I'll tell you right now, if I think it's not a possible match for you, I'll be straightforward and tell you, Renatus is not for you. I tell that to people quite frequently. But if you're of the frame of mind that you want to explore the possibilities and potentialities of you learning how to become a successful real estate investor, we're not talking about making $1 million in 90 days. We're talking about learning how to do 1 or 2 deals a year where you make an extra $25,000 to $30,000 per deal. I stopped thinking about that. 2 deals at $25,000 profit, that's $50,000 in income. Hey, if you'd like to be my guest, call me. Here's my number. I want you to write it down. It's 602-315-0844. That's 602-315-0844. Gavin, Mcaleb, we got about 2.5 minutes left. Hey, you were at our facility, our training facility, 2 weekends ago as our, I'm going to say, star witness for Renatus. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Would you tell our audience what you saw in the team? I mean, man, our room was packed. Tell them what they're going to experience if they come to our business forum, would you?
Yeah, I will, and it's perfect because it dovetails into the point that I wanted to make, which was, listen, my story is obviously me going out, doing the deals, and supporting my family, but there's just as many women and ladies that have the drive and the ability and the situation where they can lead out in their families. And well, that's what I saw in your room. There was, I didn't do a head count necessarily, but I feel like there was at least as many women as men.
Yep.
And I certainly saw young folks. I saw some older folks. And there's no question that regardless of the age, so one of the things I noticed at lunchtime was there was a free sharing of information. So there was the, for lack of a better term, older folks hanging out with the younger folks,
right,
talking about their latest project, their latest deal, and it just felt so open and welcoming that I can't imagine a demographic that would not be welcome there. So if you feel like, oh, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm too stuffy, if you know you're too crazy, maybe you need to stay away. But for the most part, there's room for anyone of any demographic, of any group, and I didn't see any cliques.
No,
I didn't see any shunning. I felt like everybody was glad to see everybody else, like literally like a family. And to me, that was a really remarkable experience.
Gavin, Mcaleb, thank you so much for your input. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this from my heart to yours, okay? People do not fail in life because they want too much. They fail in life because they settle for too little.
You know, friends, Dr. G and I do our best to keep a positive, inspirational tone with our show. We never mean to mislead you, you being our listening audience. We never mean to mislead you into thinking that you can create an amazing life and to create wealth overnight, or that it's an easy process. All we do is show you that it's possible to have this with as much realism as possible, coupled with inspiration. So please take what I'm about to say with all the love that comes with it. You need to quit. Yes, I said it. I said it out loud. It's time for you to quit. And you're saying, but wait, Kevin, I thought one of the keys to success and to reaching my goals is to never quit. Wrong. In order for you to move into a new direction, you must quit what you are doing if it is moving you away from what you say you want. Now, at the risk of sounding negative, it is long overdue for many of you listening today. It's long overdue for you to quit what you're doing and where you are and start moving in a different direction. But, Dad, people struggle with this. Why is it so difficult for us to accept that it's time to quit in one area of life and move on?
Well, so many people, bless their hearts, they're so stuck in the past, they're not able to get into the present so they can create the future. Okay, and I say it like this: do not let your past cast a shade on your future. And another phrase that I have coined, I say it like this: that, well, no, I'm not going to go there, okay?
Okay, good. But it's difficult to quit. It is. We get caught up in the comfortableness, the mundane of life, and we say, hey, this is our path and this is our way. But we have to stop that and quit what we're doing and quit our thought process to get where we want to be.
Big time. I remember now what I was going to say. I say it like this. Your past is the canvas on which your portrait of the future is painted. And the decisions you make now are the oils that's going to color that portrait of the future.
Wow, that's deep. Gavin, did you hear that? That was deep stuff, man.
It was a little more technical than I'm used to. So I'll defer. It sounds correct to me.
It sounds correct. It's very philosophical. For sure.
It's very melancholy. Okay. All right, because it is true, Gavin. Now let me say it again. I want you to listen to me carefully, Coach. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Your past is the canvas on which your portrait of the future is painted. And the decisions you make now are the oils that's going to color that portrait. Now, that's philosophical, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it is melancholy, to be honest. But I think the principle is that you can make a choice with what you want to paint the canvas with. Is that the point?
That's what I love about our coach, Gavin Mcaleb. He caught on, man. He keeps it simple.
Oh, and we didn't do our normal introduction, Dad, so let's take 30 seconds.
Yeah,
introduce Gavin to our listening audience.
I hope our audience
that was deep.
You and I have been having so much fun with Gavin. Our special guest is Gavin Mcaleb from Boise, Idaho, 41-year-old entrepreneur, real estate investor. He's also a highly respected and dearly beloved coach for the Renatus Nation, from the east to the west coast, from the north to the south border of the United States. And we just had the privilege of having Coach Gavin here just 2 weeks ago to spend a whole day training our people. And Gavin, I'm going to start our conversation out today by asking Kevin a question. Just 2 months ago, Kevin and I closed on a deal that we did. I'm not going to go into the numbers and bore our audience, but we were able to buy a property, seller finance, 0% cash up front, 0% credit used. Kevin found a private investor and lent us private money to do the rehabbing. And when it was all said and done in a 5-month cycle, we generated $64,000 in profit. Now, that's a pretty good profit on a fix and flip. Wouldn't you say, Gavin?
Oh, absolutely. It's very good.
And now Kevin's already involved in a second deal he's doing with one of our team members, Bruce Carr. And he's looking to garner a $50,000 profit on this deal. Now, that's $114,000 in profit on 2 deals. And so I'm going to ask Kevin, and now I'm going to be quiet and listen to the interaction between the two of you.
Hold on. You just said you're going to be what?
I'm going to be quiet. I know. So, Kevin, the question I want to ask you is, with the success you're having, why do you think you need a coach?
I better hurry up and answer. I don't know how long he's going to be quiet. So, the other thing he said, he's going to listen. 2 things are happening with my dad. He's going to be quiet and listen. That's awesome. Okay, so the question he asks is, why do I need a coach? Very simple. And here's how I put it. Any person that has the highest level of success in life is receiving ongoing coaching and positioning themselves to listen to others that are more successful than they are. So I am a sports fan. I enjoy sports overall and sports in general. And no matter who the top performing sports individual is in their sport, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, hockey, because those are the only 4 real sports. Just kidding. But tennis, golf, whatever it is, the person who's having the most success always has a coach around them, someone teaching them, helping them refine what to look for, how they take their skill and make it better. And, I'm just getting started. Yes, I've had some success out of the gate, and I'm grateful for that. But, Dad, the only way I know that I'm going to get better and to enhance what I'm doing and to increase my success, to position me to be a better and more positive influence to other people, is I need coaching. And so as a student of Renatus, plugged into the community, what do? I follow the system. the same system that I teach my students and my team, not my students, but my team members. Call your coach and set up your coaching sessions.
Now, Gavin, last week I heard through the grapevine that Kevin had his first coaching session with you. Was he a student that really absorbed and listened? What do you think about the potentialities of this young man?
And before you answer, Gavin, remember, I paid you well, so go on.
You know, Dr. G, as a man who comes from accounting and practice, I'm sure you can understand that my coaching sessions are absolutely confidential. I never reveal what.
Yes, thank you, Gavin. Thank you.
But in general terms, Kevin he had the kinds of questions that made me see that he knew the right direction.
Yeah.
And so he's very receptive. He's open to some guidance and some constructive recommendations. And in that context, he was a fantastic student. And of course, the proof will be in the pudding.
Right.
Or as they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And so as soon as he gets these deals done, he'll have a delicious, I guess, pudding. I'm not sure where the analogy goes.
I don't know. We're kind of losing it. Real estate pudding, the money will taste good? I don't know.
You know,
Exactly.
Gavin, Kevin tried to buy me off. It was about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that.
Yes.
Tell the story real quick.
Okay, thanks for bringing up my sins. So I tried to pay him off, but I did. I admitted. I told him, I said, hey, Dad, I was in the insurance industry at the time, and I was doing fairly well. And I said, look, I've got a big deal coming up, and I should probably get a nice size commission on it. If I just paid you a couple $1,000s, then I could just, hang around with you, shadow you, kind of ride on your coattails here a little bit and learn this real estate investing thing. And I don't have to enroll in education, do all the stuff you're doing. I can just pick it up along the way. So guess what he told me, Gavin?
My guess is that he told you that if you want something, you have to go all in and commit yourself. That's my guess.
Basically, yeah. He wasn't as kind and eloquent as you were.
Too.
The way you said it was much nicer. But anyways, the bottom line is he told me to pound sand, and you need to enroll in the education, and you need to make it a priority and make it happen. And I tell you, I'm glad he did, because he'd be a horrible coach, because now I have Gavin Mcaleb as my coach, which is a much better proposition.
Okay,
better
see,
experience.
just because I'm the old guy, Gavin, okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. You're from a simpler generation where you just say what you think.
Well, yeah, okay. Hey, listen, we're just having a ball interviewing Gavin Mcaleb. He's just a wonderful man. And ladies and gentlemen, the whole Renatus community of real estate investors are just wonderful people. And we would love to invite you to our business forum that we're hosting this week right here in the Valley. I think one of the highlights of our daily outreach on this program is Kevin getting to meet our audience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it when they come to our events. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to be buying anything, so you can't bring your checkbook and credit cards. We need to get acquainted. And so I'm going to encourage you, if you'd like to be my personal guest, call me, and I'm going to give you my phone number in a minute. But I want you to know when you call, you're going to get my voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message for me with your name and phone number, and I promise you I will get back to you. So are you ready to write down my phone number? Here it is. By the way, the event's this Thursday. It's only an hour and a half, and it's not a boring business meeting, okay? You're going to meet a lot of wonderful people. You're going to learn about Renatus, the premier real estate investing education system in America. And you're going to learn about real estate investing as it is today in Arizona. Not like it was 5 years ago or 8 years ago, but as it is today. All right, here's my phone number. It's 602-315-0844. That's 602-315-0844.
So, before we went to break, we were I was giving my dad a hard time, and Gavin was helping a little bit. But seriously, friends, watching my father go through what he did, he and my mom, through their bankruptcy, their foreclosure, and at that age in life, I can say without a doubt, especially being in the insurance industry for so long, when a person, a man or woman, hits the age of 65, 64, 65, 66, and they have a drastic financial downturn, no one would blame them to say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to press pause here, take my Social Security, I've taken my Social Security income and just kind of ride out the rest of my years. There's nothing wrong with that. At that age, you've worked a lot of years. You've done a lot of things. You've rebounded through so much in life, and you kind of get tired a little bit. But to see my parents say, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to create a new chapter in our life, and we're going to go out and continue to have a positive influence in people's lives, rebuild financially, rebuild with relationships, and make a difference. That's what inspired me. And that was one of the main reasons that I chose to look at Renatus differently again, because I figure, hey, who am I to give excuses when my parents in their mid to late 60s said, hey, we're going to do it again. And as a result is what's introduced me to a whole new world and men and women like our guest, Gavin Mcaleb, who are making a positive influence in my life and helping me navigate these waters of real estate, be successful. And Gavin, with your experience as a real estate coach, a real estate investor, how inspiring is it to see people like Dr. G and Sylvia in those in their later years in life have a new lease on life and do something different? Talk about that.
I think it's awesome. And, of course, you kind of you basically said what there is to say, which is that if you reach that milestone age, you've already lived a whole life, but you've already, contributed and you've earned your money and you've had your job. And if you want to sail off into the sunset, that's totally fine, but you don't have to. And so here's something interesting. I think you'll think it's interesting. So when you're a young person and you look at an old person, you see that, like, your perspective is much more limited, and you're like, okay, so that old person is out of touch, or they don't know the technology, or whatever it is that you think of an old person. But then guess what? As you age, you suddenly realize that you're actually the same person the whole time. You don't just flip a switch and become a different person now that you're old. So I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm in my 40s. I'm not a young person and I'm not a super old person, but I'm suddenly coming to the dangerous realization that I'm basically me my whole life. And so if I'm the kind of person that looks for new activities and tries new things, there's a fairly good chance that I'll still be that same person when I'm 65. And if I'm the kind of person that looks for the easy road and hopes but doesn't really do anything different, I could do that in my 40s, I could do that in my 60s, I could do that in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And so the idea here is, regardless of age, regardless of experience level, who you are is who you are for the whole shooting match. Here's life. And if you're the kind of person that is comfortable with where you are, then you probably still be that same person. But if you're the kind of person who's thinking, hey, what else is there?
Well,
what else can I do? Then you'll be that same person throughout life as well.
Right, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Gavin. And when I attended my first event with Renatus, my emotions were all over the place. My mind went from, hey, I think I can do this, to I'd like to try this, to I can do this, to I will do this. And I tell you what, you used a phrase just a minute ago. You said when you get to the age of 65 or so on, you can take it easy and sail off into the sunset. And I was thinking, on social insecurity, man, if I'd sail off into the sunset with that vessel called Social Security, that's nothing but a boat with a big hole in the bottom. And
that's a good point.
Because
security is sometimes an illusion.
Oh, it's a total illusion. And I got very discouraged after a couple of years of doing my Renatus business. And Kevin was really, he was making progress marketing healthcare insurance products. And I said, Kevin, I need to talk to you. I needed someone who's objective to coach me at that time, Gavin. I think at that time I was 68, 66, 67, somewhere in there. But I was really discouraged. And I sat down and told Kevin what was going on. I said, Kevin, I don't know. I think I'm just about ready to give up. I'm just sick and tired of the battle. And he listened to me. He was very gracious. He didn't say, Dad, come on, grow up, or anything like that. But here's what he said to me that really rocked my boat. Now, remember, Kevin, you tell this part. You work with people who are seniors.
Yeah, absolutely. In the healthcare industry, I did a lot of Medicare building with that client base. So I worked with a lot of people 65 years and older.
So Kevin looked at me and he said, "Dad, are you kidding me? Do you know how many people your age don't even sniff the kind of money you and Mom are making?" And boy, that caught my attention, Gavin. I thought, I'm just being ungrateful. I mean, here I am, 68, 69 years of age, making $150,000 a year. Now I'm 72, making $250,000 a year. And with my projected goals that I've set for this year, I'm going to go well over $300,000. Now that's a pretty good part-time job for an old dude, wouldn't you say?
I would absolutely agree.
Yeah, and we are blessed. And it's all because of the brilliant, generous compensation plan that Bob Snyder, our CEO and founder, created for Renatus. Hey, we haven't talked about Bob Snyder, the CEO and founder. He and his wife, Holly, have done over 2,500 transactions over the last 25 years. He gave birth to Renatus. Would you give our audience some insight from a coach's perspective? What kind of guy is Bob Snyder?
So Bob Snyder, if anyone gets a chance to see him or learn from him, he's the kind of person that is what Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you guys are Dave Ramsey people. He's a financial guru. He says they have a heart of a teacher, and that's what Bob Snyder is. He is a business owner. He's very savvy. I mean, he's not. I wouldn't say he's naive or someone to take advantage of him. He's very sharp. He's very experienced and knowledgeable, but he's 100% approachable and warm and friendly, and he's got that heart of a teacher. His joy is when somebody changes their life by learning a new skill and then taking action. I mean, that's what he lives for, and literally that's the company that he built, is something that allows people to make a decision, to take a new action, and change their life. And so Bob is not only is he at the top of the level in terms of skill and ability and personal experiences, but he's also one of the most genuine people that I've ever met in terms of caring about the individual and wanting to hear the individual stories. I had at the national conference we had a couple months ago in March, I had a chance to have lunch with him one of the days, and we were at a table. It was kind of a buffet style, and as we were eating lunch, people kept coming up and saying, "Bob, thank you so much. Bob, I just did a deal. Thanks for your help. Bob, glad to see you again. I met you before." And he knew their name, and it was just so awesome. And in fact, it was awesome, and it took like an hour for us to walk 50 feet back to the room because everybody wanted to take his picture. And so he's just, I mean, you hear hype and you're like, "Oh yeah, these guys are hyping him up," but you got to meet him. I mean, at some point when the reality exceeds the hype, you've got a winner.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, all of his, I'm going to say persona as a leader, trickles down to everybody nationwide in the community. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. Gavin Mcaleb has been our special guest this week. And once again, Kevin, real quick, tell our audience about our upcoming Investor Business Forum this week.
So this week we're having our Investor Business Forum, as my dad just said. So I'm telling you about it. We do it every week, but we want you to come meet us and find out that this isn't just hype. Dr. G is a lot like Bob Snyder. Dr. G is just down to earth. You can have your picture taken with him as well. Come shake his hand and get to just know the person that he is. And he promises he'll be kind and polite because that's just where his heart is, friends. So meet Dr. G. And guess what? You can also meet me. Now, I know a lot of you out there really want to meet Kevin and see if he's as good looking as he claims. And when you meet me this week at the Business Forum, you can decide if that's true. And I won't take offense either way.
You're definitely the most humble one of the two.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I am a humble guy. So I'm going to give you Dr. G's number in just a minute, and you're going to call him, leave your name and voice and number on his voicemail. Bring a friend with you. Bring a family member, a colleague, someone that you can kind of just be relaxed for the evening with. The number is 602-315-0844. I'm going to give that to you again so you can write it down. It's 602-315-0844. That's Dr. G's direct cell phone number. Leave a message, and he'll get some seats reserved for you.
Gavin Mcaleb, my friend, would you take about 60 seconds? Tell our audience what they need to do to get off that spot they've been sitting on and not taking any action. What do they need to do?
Listen, I always tell people, if you're fully satisfied with everything in your life, then this is probably not for you. But if there's anything in your life that thinks I could do different, I could do more, I could do better, I could be somebody different, then you have to learn it. You have to get information in order to decide what that is. So to come down and learn what this Renatus opportunity is, it costs you nothing but your time, and now you have one more thing you can say, well, I know that I'm trying to become something new and better. If this is for you, great. If it's not, great. But the only way to answer that question is to come and find out.
Gavin Mcaleb, thank you so much for being our special guest and giving your time this week. Man, we appreciate you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, I say all the time that God's going to enable you to become what he wants you to be, but he will not help you to become someone else. Now, if you're spending all your time and energy trying to gain acceptance from other people the way they want you to be, you're eventually going to find someone to accept you for who you were not in the first place. So why don't you get real with yourself, look in the mirror of reality and say, you know what? It's time you make the change. It's a tragedy that so many millions of American people have just enough money coming in to keep them comfortable while they stay broke. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you think having a job is going to propel you into the financial freedom you want, it's not going to happen. You've got to become your own business owner. You've got to learn how to become a real estate investor. You've got to become part of a team of proactive, profit-minded people that care about your future as much as you do. How's that going to happen? Call me. We'd love for you to come to our Investor Business Forum. You're going to get my number in a minute. Change when left to chance gives birth to conflict. And if you don't change, things won't change. And I'll guarantee you this, the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Either you make the change or the change is going to make you. Now, success is not a destination, it's a journey. You can succeed. All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now, listen very carefully. Success is never final, but failure is never fatal. And an investment in knowledge pays you the best interest. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this? It's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? Hey, right now would be a good time.
It's been said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. No matter your circumstances, there is a solution to your situation. Dr. G and Kevin invite you to explore the possibilities of creating a new financial platform that you control and no longer allow yourself to be controlled by the circumstances of your life. Visit them at wealthempowers.com. That's WealthEmpowers.com. Come and meet Dr. G and Kevin at the Investor Business Forum. Oh, one last thought. Isn't it time for you to stop making a living and start making a life? Call Dr. G and Kevin at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.